crabs that live on land. How much do you know about terrestrial crabs? Spend the next 20 minutes feeding your brain with Formosa Fauna so you can learn all about the animal kingdom and become smarter than all of your friends. What better way to spend your commute or downtime? Every Friday is Formosa Fauna Friday. I'm Tristan Hildebrand, the voice of Formosa Fauna. I love animals and I love talking about animals. Congratulations to one of our listeners because you've won yourself a beautifully assembled package complete with a Taiwanese black bear plushie that transforms into a neck pillow, local fruity delicacies branded with native species on the packaging, and other adorable animal-centric merchandise, including a leopard cat ceramic dish that's handmade. And what's special about it is I have a matching one, so it's like we're best friends. I'll tell you more later about how you can submit your stories to be read on air. Before that, let's get to talking about some main events. We have a very story-packed day today as we have 2 listener submissions to share. I forgot to share a brief story of my own the last episode, which I need to tell you about this week. You know, it is very simple. I was working late. Everyone else had already left the office, and I was walking out towards the gates leading up to our building. It was already dark outside, and I saw a bat swooping around a streetlight. I just stood there and admired because bats are very neat creatures, and they're not dangerous in Taiwan. Actually, very few bats are dangerous around the world. But then something else caught my eye. It was in my peripheral vision. At first I thought, a giant spider. But it didn't move forwards or backwards. It scuttled sideways. It was right next to the security guard's little booth, so I told him, I just saw a crab. He said, oh yeah, that happens sometimes. I said, but we're nowhere near the ocean. There's no beach. And he said, yeah, they live around here. Oh, what? Are you sure someone's dinner didn't break loose? And he was pretty sure. Come to find out, they are a kind of terrestrial crab. Taiwan is home to 6 species of terrestrial crabs, and even coming to find out that this is a thing just blows my mind. I hope I could find a terrestrial crab specialist to come on the show and teach me all about them, teach you guys all about them, because I've lived many years, none of which I have lived knowing that terrestrial crabs exist. Essentially, what I have gathered is that terrestrial crabs in general are lineages of crabs that have evolved to live predominantly on land. There aren't distinct separations between terrestrial, semi-terrestrial, and aquatic crabs, and their terrestriality is rather one belonging on a continuum. Supposedly, most land-adapted crabs have to return to water to release their eggs, and because some species are found many kilometers away from the sea, they have to complete annual migrations. Only a few land crabs have direct development, meaning the mother carries the eggs until they have become fully developed crabs, allowing them to avoid needing access to the water, making them essentially completely terrestrial. Did you already know about terrestrial crabs? An article by Lauren Philippot for Airline Geeks just the other day talks about how Qatar Airways may be ramping up their pet handling services. That is first on our list to talk about for current events. Qatar Airways has significantly enhanced its live animal handling facilities to accommodate the increasing number of animals being transported as cargo on its flights. Last year, the airline transported over 550,000 animals, including 9,500 horses. This growing demand has led Qatar Airways to open a state-of-the-art animal center at Doha's Hamad International Airport, designed to provide a seamless and comfortable experience for all animals in transit. I am a pet owner and I know just how stressful traveling and flying can be on animals, which is why none of my pets have ever traveled on an airplane. If they had to travel long distances when I was in the US, we would drive them upwards of 8 or 9 hours to their destination because it is expensive and scary to think about not knowing how your animal is doing while they're being treated as cargo. So mainly, the issues for me would be price and safety. If Qatar Airways can give pet owners the peace of mind that their pets are being treated as regular passengers rather than cargo, I could see that opening the door up to a lot of more potential business. Their new facility, covering 5,260 square meters, includes modern amenities such as temperature-controlled environments, a groom's room, lounge for specialists, and dedicated spaces for various types of animals, including dogs, cats, horses, birds, and reptiles. Staffed by trained veterinary personnel, the center ensures high standards of animal care and welfare. Additionally, Qatar Airways offers an exclusive pet card service, keeping pet owners informed about their pets' well-being during the journey, complete with photos of the animals under the airline's care. Just a couple days ago, 2 animal rights activists in the Vatican City interrupted the Pope's weekly audience to protest against bullfighting. The 2 women were wearing shirts identifying them as part of the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, very, very well known as PETA. Other protests affiliated with the group have taken place this year. The supposed PETA members contend that some Catholic priests offer blessings to local bullfighters. Pope Francis is not known to have commented on the issue. As we head into the thick of summer coming up in the next couple of months, here are some tips for how you can keep your beloved pets safe from the heat. First, bring pets indoors on heat advisory days. A crate in your bathroom can provide a cool, secure place for your pets that you usually house outdoors. Fresh water and shelter must always be available. In many places in the world, it's illegal not to provide them. A shaded parking spot offers little protection inside a vehicle on a sunny day. Cracking the window open a little bit also does little to a parked vehicle to reduce the temperature inside. It only takes 10 minutes for a car to reach 102 degrees Fahrenheit on an average 85 Fahrenheit degree day. In 30 minutes, that temperature could reach 120 degrees or more. In Celsius, that is about 49 degrees. So within 10 minutes, it could reach 49 degrees in the vehicle. That makes you think twice the next time you just want to crack a window open, or you think it's fine because you're just stopping in the store for about 10 minutes. 10 minutes is all it takes. If you see a pet locked inside of a hot vehicle, act immediately. The city of San Antonio actually has many of these helpful tips online. They say, jot down the vehicle's description, including a license plate number, and go to nearby stores to try to have the owner paged using that license plate number and description, or take it up with authorities, because time is of the essence. Symptoms of heat stress include excessive thirst, heavy panting, glazed eyes, restlessness, lethargy, fever, dizziness, a rapid heartbeat, profuse drooling, and unconsciousness. If an animal shows any of these signs, gradually lower their body temperature and get them to a veterinarian as soon as possible. Our award-winning listener submission is from Cazador. He's the first listener to get his physical letter and photo to the station here in Taipei, Taiwan. We had a fake out last time. Congratulations and thank you so much to Cazador. Here is his story, my Senegalese parrot, Carol. In 2019, I got Carol from a bird store in Danshui. I had been in the area because I work as an MRT policeman for the Danshui Light Rail. I think that's called Danhai LRT. I rode my moped from Danshui to Zhonghe every day, sometimes taking her with me. When Carol was very young and couldn't yet fly, her feathers hadn't even fully grown in yet, but she jumped up onto my knees and crawled to my chest. She snuggled up next to my heart as if she wanted to feel my heartbeat, which was when I felt I first had a close connection with a pet. They say parrots have the IQ of a 3-year-old human child, and I absolutely believe it. They are experts at unlocking and escaping cages. They have flexible tongues and beaks. It took me less than 5 minutes to teach her to extend her feet and shake hands. I like to make my own toys for her to play with, some of which have been gnawed into pieces. Carol expresses her love and happiness by jumping into my palm and dancing with her wings slightly spread open, hoping I'll scratch her head a little. That concludes this listener submission about Carol, the Senegalese parrot. In addition to the letter, I got photos. I can see little Carol with their feathers grown in, sort of messy, nibbling on her owner's fingernail. But the cutest picture, in my opinion, is of Carol being weighed, sitting so nicely in what looks like the lid to a tin can. Carol has a bright green body and a grayish head. If you are tuning in on our website or you have access to the website, you can go take a look at this episode because I'll try to put at least one photo in there. Some fun facts about the Senegalese parrots. They can become good mimics, and some young birds repeat words without any great effort being made to teach them. They are, however, not particularly known for their speaking skills. Also, very important, on no account should two females be housed together because the chance of one ultimately killing the other is extremely high. That's coming straight from northern parrots. I would completely agree that the intelligence of many of our birds well exceeds that which we would expect from, especially a small animal. Sometimes I hear bird brain being used as an insult with the notion that birds have very tiny brains, but hey, these birds know and are capable of a lot. One of my first pets was Hedwig. She was a parakeet. I know parakeets are considered, I guess, generally slightly dumber or less interesting than a Senegalese parrot, right? They're not parrots, they're parakeets. But Hedwig was very special in the sense that she developed this game all on her own. Nobody taught her to do this. We just kind of went along with it and discovered that she had these rules that she was using to lead us in a game. She would tweet with a certain melody and a certain tempo, and if we copied her and we got it almost exactly right, she would make this happy twitter noise. And if we got it wrong, like we forgot what the melody was, or we got one of the notes a little off, we were a little bit pitchy, she would make this harsh, sharp, and very short noise that kind of sounds like the buzzer for hockey or something. And sometimes she would make happy noises after we got it wrong too, like she had won the game. But she was also happy when we were able to copy her little song. And she would do that just on her own. She would go a few rounds with us, have a good time. So sometimes when she would just be singing throughout the day in our home, we would start copying her, and then, the game would start. It was very creative. We also have an email submission from, I quote, "the cat slave who was attacked by Manly last week but is currently in stable condition." This is a beautifully written 7-page document in narrative form, so sit back, relax, and let yourself get into the story like I'm reading you a storybook before bedtime. This was written in Mandarin, and I've translated it into English, so I may not have gotten everything 100% exactly precise, but it's pretty close. This listener was raised in a home with parents who taught her pets cannot be kept at home, not even cats or dogs. Like any other wise parent, they were concerned that the kids, who would probably upfront show initiative and responsibility, would not be able to take care of the pets consistently, eventually leaving the parents to be responsible for their care, including feeding them, bathing them, picking up their poop, etc. That's also not even to mention potential allergies. Our cat servant listener never even considered that at one point in her life she may have a cat as a daughter. I'm going to read the rest of this in first person, so it's conveyed how it was written. In late September 2022, I was working at a campground in Shihu Township in Miaoli. As everyone was getting ready to wrap it up for the day and head home, some of my colleagues heard continuous weak meows coming from the parking lot. One of those colleagues looked for the source of the sound and found a little orange cat, about 10 days old, curled up and hiding in the gap under the hood of a car. Caught off guard, everyone was concerned but didn't really know what to do. Once I ran over and saw the puppy-eyed look, I took liberties there with the translation, of the kitten, I decided I'm going to adopt her. The first night I found the kitten, I used a shoebox as shelter. She suffered from skin diseases and eye inflammation. All right, Let's just say this is the first chapter of the story, and I'm going to interject here because before we continue, I think it's important to say that if you ever find kittens or adult cats with symptoms like this, especially the eye inflammation, please take the poor kitty in to get checked by a vet. There's a virus called the feline calicivirus that can give these cats cold-like symptoms. Often that's a runny nose, congestion, difficulty breathing, and eye inflammation. The thing is, with the right medication and attention to food consumption, these cats can bounce back in a week or so, making a complete recovery. Left untreated, however, the eyelids will continue swelling until they are swollen shut and sealed shut. Once that happens, the eye muscle starts to retract and the cat eventually goes blind. Whether or not you help a cat who has gotten the feline calicivirus makes a world of difference. Okay, let's continue. The decision I made at that time was actually commercial and selfish. At the time, I was responsible for marketing and planning at the camping grounds. Thinking commercially, I thought the cat could be sort of a mascot for the camping grounds. By documenting the cat's progress and recovery on social media, we could drive traffic to our business. The idea was simple and despicable. So we kept the kitten and named her Manly after the camping grounds Shihumamat. Again, I'm going to interject here to say I do find it a little despicable to want to use animals for social media clout or for business purposes. I do think that there are much more sincere intentions and motivations that people have for taking care of animals, but I also think that in situations like this where you're programmed to think how you were raised, it's like your conscious has given you a roadblock and your subconscious is trying to find a way to navigate around that. Maybe your subconscious ran into that roadblock telling you, I can't have pets, and found an alternate route to get to its destination, which would be you adopting or rescuing this cat. Honestly, I've been through the same thing. I used a video idea as an excuse to start fostering 2 cats in Taiwan because fostering was something I wanted to do, but I had convinced myself that I couldn't do anything long term because I barely had time to take care of myself. But deep down, I know all of my intentions have been pure and I've only tried to give the absolute best to my fosters. So perhaps you're the same. Oftentimes, we sort of use something that seems almost malicious and as an excuse to do something that is pure in intention. Continuing, since Manly was officially initiated as the camping grounds cat, we let her run around and jump around freely in the area during the day. Then I'd take her back with me to the dormitory to sleep at night. She became my colleague and roommate. Accompanying me on those nights, I stayed up late working overtime right up until the sun came out. On nights like those, Manly would sit or lay down on my computer while I was in the middle of work, as if she was reminding me, hey, stop working overtime. It's time to rest and sleep. Being the only human occupant in a 10-kilometer radius, having that company felt very special. It was as if I was silently guarded by tangible courage. The owls howling from the dark forest, no longer an eerie sound. Even though this cat was less than 1 year old, she knew how to depend on me. Instead of being locked in a cage, Manly enjoyed the freedom and happiness of the wild since she was but a little kitten. You can see that in some of the photos our listener shared of Manly jumping up on signs and climbing up trees. I'll try to include at least one photo of the adorable Manly on the site. When calling out her name, she would quickly make herself visible as she sprinted over. It felt like everything was so perfect. But a storm was brewing, one that I didn't know to expect being inexperienced in raising cats. That is only about half of the story, the other half of which we will pick back up and continue with next week. Sorry to do it, but it's very long and I want to finish it, but I also want to translate it properly because, like I said, I appreciate the way it was written. Again, I am so grateful to our lovely listeners for sending in letters and a package. Thank you for kicking us off. I am seriously ecstatic to hear anybody's story about pets or animals, anything that means something to you. Feel free to send me letters at any time to Radio Taiwan International here in Taipei, Taiwan, or by email at tristan@rti.org.tw. That is tristan@rti.org.tw. Making it to the end of an episode makes you a Formosa Fauna friend. It's not gross, it's cute. Thank you for tuning in, friend. All animals require enrichment, and Formosa Fauna is just that. After all, we're all just a bunch of wild animals. See you next time for Formosa Fauna Fridays here on Radio Taiwan International.